I don't know how far I'm going to get today. I'm going to at least do the 1,000, under 1,000. But if I'm inspired, I'll go further than that. At the moment, we have 21 people. Part of the bummer of doing this a little early is maybe a couple more will sneak in before tomorrow. And then the bummer of that is I won't necessarily see it. So, that is a thing. Where is Kostya playing? He sent us a whole list. He's on a European tour, dude. He's on an epic European tour, and he sent us a list, and I can't find it for the life of me, dude. There was a whole schedule he sent out. I don't know. But basically, he's playing all over the place, dude. All over the place. Okay, so first off, we have Squirrel Sack. Sounds like an opening or something. There's the Squirrel Sack. And I'm already following Squirrel Sack. And it's kind of interesting. Look at that. They did a bunch of non-dojo games or something earlier. Graduated ages ago. Then didn't do anything. And just graduated now. Clubs. Aus Deutschland. I'll bring my mic in a little closer over here. That's a fair guess. Iceland, because he's going to go Iceland. I know he's going to be in. He's going to be in all kinds of places in Italy. Dude, I'll get the schedule, and Pruess will be on here tomorrow, same time, so he can tell you more about it, and I might join him at some point. Squirrel Sack, buddy, give us some games. Give us some games. Do some things. Okay, next up is Celine. Celine has graduated numerous times. And Celine is also a little bit hard to say what's going on. Celine is just simply graduating. That's all Celine is doing. Celine, come on. So we don't know what's going on with Celine either. Okay, I don't know. Celine, you know what you got to do. I just almost bashed my head in there. You know what you got to do, Celine. Steve Ireland says, having those tasks of play these games is what finally got me out of my comfort zone of studying when time permits and pushed me to actually play some games to see if I've learned something. Correct. So here we go. This is Steve Ireland. I'm going to give him a follow. As you can see, he's been doing a lot of tactics, some non-dojo. Decided that 2025 is the year that I'm going to up my chess game. At the age of 70 and still employed, I expect there to be some challenges, but it will happen. Okay, this is beautiful. Now, Steve, I do want to say, small steps, small steps, because think about it. 12 to 1,400, that's 700 points away from where you now are. And of course, I hope you make it. I'm just saying, let's say you make it to the 600 cohort in a month or two. That would be amazing, and it'll get harder. It gets progressively harder. So I just want to say, even small steps are a beautiful thing. You got a nice USCF rating there. Look at that. 769 with the tactics. So yeah, your tactics, by the way, suggests that you will make it at least to the 700 cohort fairly soon. Ye old 50 plus. There we go. And let's see if we got some games, Steve. We got it. Here we come. Now, this one, by the way, maybe I've already gone over because he graduated before. Yeah. Oh, no, I haven't done this one yet. All right, here we go. This is the time graph. And as we see, Steve, you need to slow it down. You're moving a little too fast. You are playing someone, presumably online, who is just moving incredibly fast. That will be more the rule rather than the exception. The people at this level cannot think, especially when they're online. Okay, so game review. Good move so far. Good move. Pop, pop, pop. I don't know if this is terrible, knight h6. Bishop d7, you know, the real problem is this one. That's the real problem, because then you're going to lose your queen. Okay. So one of the things that's peculiar already is this guy doesn't knock you out immediately. So let's just see what happens here. Definitely, look, you got you got to take the thing. Unfortunately, you don't get anything here. You got to at least take the bishop. Yeah, this looks bad. This looks real bad. He's not putting you away, though, is he? No, that was a fancy move. Okay, you're hanging a lot of stuff. No, yeah. Okay, Chess Blunder Maestro. Let's say that was an important game for us to think about. And key here was the fact that on knight h6, you didn't spend much time. And on knight takes d4, you didn't spend much time. So yes, this is a common trap that now you're not going to fall for again. That's good. But the time, I want to stress, if you can use a little bit more time, you are going to be doing better. Okay, great. Now let's go back. Next up, we got the business prof, who was also graduated numerous times. In fact, let's just go ahead and say the under 1,000 cohort isn't so big today. So we will definitely push on past 1,000 today. Business prof. Somehow, this talented old noob is leveling up in Dojo. Don't let anyone ever tell you it's too late, because if I can pick up this game in the second half of life and get better, then anyone can. Turns out the big secret is that there is no secret. Just work hard every day. Made in twos every day. Tactics every day. Review your games. I don't always log my training like I should, but I grind. And honestly, I like the grind. Oh, I like this guy. I like this guy. Almost as much as I like winning, and I really like winning. Moral of the study, do the work, do the work, do the work. No, this is great. So let's go check out Business Prof here. With zero natural talent. Joined last year in April, but oh, you can see he had a little bit of break. He had a little bit of a break, and then he's come back and, or maybe he was just not logging his stuff then. And he's been doing those tactics. And beautiful, look at that graph. This is a really nice, inspiring graph here. And he's got a tactics rating, which really matches where he's at. So that makes sense. Clubs. All right, great. And I want to go activity. I want to just see the tactics he's doing here. So if I go here and I click tactics, this is looking great. So the mate in twos, he's really crushing it. And fantastic. Yeah. Beautiful. All right, let's see if Business Prof has a game here for us. All right, let's check this one out. Boom. Oh, wait a second. I might want... This one is more interesting to me because it's a guy we know from the dojo, but I'm worried that's a couple months ago. So let's pick one a little bit more recent. All right, it says online game, and both players, that's a very reasonable time graph. Okay, in the 30-minute, there's no increment, so that you don't want to spend too much time. So good for them both there. Fine. Weird. Yeah. Good. Fine. Poor. And now you played Queen E7. Well, Bishop E6 makes a lot of sense, right? Because the queen doesn't belong on E2. And notice what you did there is you developed white's pieces for them. And now you lose another tempo. Okay? So, this is exactly what you don't want to do. However, at this level, under 1,000, the tempo is important, but they're not going to be able to knock you out because of it. All right, here we go. Knight E5. H6, okay. little frisky. Because now notice, what are you doing? You're not developing, right? A3, terrible, right? Just totally oblivious to any need for development. So knight D2, bishop H5, all these things make sense. Weird. Why wouldn't you play HG to open your business? Good move. Now notice, when he takes, you gained a tempo. So from the just a couple moves ago, where we were down 3 million tempi, now we're actually up. Amazing. Castle's long. Now, part of me really wanted you to castle short just so that when he castles, whenever they're going to finally castle, we don't have to spend a tempo guarding this pawn. Display is a bit messed up. Thank you for noticing it. So there we go. Sorry about that. So, knight F3, F6, quality. We're going to call that quality right there. So knight F3, F6 dominates the knight, and I want to say that's a 1700 plus move right there. All right? Fantastic. And you thought for a minute. Castles. Rook HE8. Fine. Fine. Okay. Now we want a good move. Fine. Bishop H5 is a good move. We are still solidly even, and White's light square bishop is super annoying. White has an absolute death grip on E8. My plan here is to move the rook to F8, move my king to D8, and play bishop E7. I think you mean bishop E8, to try to trade off the light square bishop. Okay. Now, something I would like to stress here is I still like your position more, okay? And the reason for that is your bishops are strong and its rook isn't doing anything over there, right? Now, that said, we still want to come up with a plan, and it's not super easy to know what to do, right? Personally, I would try maybe to gain some space. I want to get the king out, so either C5 directly or B6 and then C5. Improve the king. You know, I like your position. All right, so this is C4, bad move. He doesn't want to help you open the position. Okay, fine. And now you're doing your thing. All right, bishop E8, bishop F3, bishop C6, okay, D5, bishop D7, good, good. King D2, rook E8, very nice. Rook B3, White isn't interested in simplifying you, right? Okay. King C7, I like B6 better. Bishop E2, I don't get it. Rook E5, very good. Bishop C4. And now you play B5, which is interesting. Okay, so very concrete play starts happening now with B5. I want you to see that you played it super fast. It might have been genius level, though. It might have been genius level. Let's get into it. So B5, and now do just blunders with King E3, and you get to take the bishop. But here's the question. Bishop D3 forced, and you say bishop F5, what I was looking at. I'm thinking that we're headed to a pawn endgame with a good chance at a draw. Well, that's the interesting question to me. That's the interesting question. It's like, who's better and why here? Let's say King E3. Now, the reason to think that we'd rather be white here, okay, is that in the king and pawn endgame, if we trade it all off, he's going to have the potential of an outside pass pawn. Whereas this guy's easy contained, your king is going to have to go deal with it, right? While your king's dealing with that outside threat, this guy comes and munches you and then crunches you. Yeah, okay. Now, I don't know what is that little sign? This variation is not saved. Right click to save as a comment. Okay. This is a new thing, by the way, that people can add comments to other people's games. So B5, very interesting. Now, let's just say that I don't want to trade this guy off necessarily. Because this is so weak. So I'm thinking maybe A6 intending B5. You know, I want to win the pawn. Sure, I want to win the pawn. All right. So he blunders the piece. This is how these games are decided. Simple chess. You're doing great. Okay, we're going to stop there. So, yeah. By the way, don't think when you say draw, I want you to just see that just because we have the potentially king and pawn endgame doesn't mean this thing is a draw. And so, you know, maybe just a little analysis. Alex, how you doing, buddy? All right, so let's mark that as reviewed. We'll go back. And now we got Jimmy Lays. Avoiding fancy ideas and stopping blundering. Raise the floor. Okay, I can get behind that. So, don't blunder. Get to 1100 so I can memorize lines. Okay, great. Now that's the attitude I want. You know, so many people, you know, are like 800 and start doing openings, and I'm like, oh, bows. But Jimmy's got he's using it as inspiration so he can memorize some lines. All right, so his tactics rating's amazing, at least so far. That suggests that he will make it. His tactics rating is there. Okay, he's done some endgame work as well. This is looking good so far. Clubs. ADHD in UK, great. Games, loads. So let's click on the one that's a little longer. Right, so we'll go click. Well, let's first just check the time graph. So we do this a lot here at the dojo, is you come in here and I yell at people for moving too fast. Definitely he and his opponent are moving too fast. Now, one of the things that's interesting to me is when I see somebody with a very high tactics rating and they're, you know, higher than their cohort, the question then becomes, well, why is that? And a very plausible, well, a very common explanation for that is what I'm seeing here, that dude isn't using his time. So the tactics rating, especially at this level, will give you a pretty good indication of where you are. And so all you need to do here is play a little slower. All right, game review. Good, fine. Okay, fine. Okay. This is actually kind of dangerous for white because now b5, good move, you are going to run into the threat of b4. And here you actually thought for a good while, and it's honestly a little bit of a hard situation. You write about bishop d3, I think you should probably play bishop d3. And you actually give this line, knight e2 and b3. I don't know why b3, because you could just take it. But this would be the position here. First of all, I think black is fine, especially because your bishop is blocking your d-file stuff. And eventually, black is going to start some drama on the queen side. It doesn't have to play b4 immediately. So, for example, queen c7, bishop b7. And then when he's ready for b4 and c5 and that kind of stuff. Okay, so g4, correct, bad move. Looks like b4 is now going to hurt you. Yeah. Knight a4, queen a5. All right. b3, snip. Queen e1. And now he plays knight c3, and that might be kind of fast. Bishop d2. I calculated knight takes, but felt he could get his dark square bishop into the attack and eventually mate me with queen b2. So I chose to sack the exchange. Let me just stress, this isn't so simple for dude. So snip, snop, king b1. So the first point to see is, well, queen a3, we have both bishop c1 and queen takes c3. And now black is, of course, still better, but this pawn is vulnerable to, say, rook d3, right? I definitely think he's better, but he's got some things he's got to figure out. Okay, losing the exchange is definitely, well, you're going to usually lose the game with the losing the exchange. Rook b8, I don't like it. I think knight b6 makes a lot of... Oh, no. Rook b8, fine. Excuse me. a3, good. I like that. Ooh, nice move. Queen d5. So I have to take back. a3 looked good, but queen d5 refuted it. Rook e8. I don't know why they wouldn't just take the pawn. What? Wow, look at that move. Bishop g5. What? Look at that move. Is this for real or is it Memorex? So it looks like it's just hanging. Now you played knight g5. I think you can also play AB, but okay, knight g5. That's no good. Queen e1, back to the front. Now you're winning again. h4. Why aren't we taking on b4? Now we're just winning. Okay, good. You crushed him. I want to stress here, the most important thing I want to stress is that was a very hectic position, and you guys were not thinking nearly long enough. Your opponent as well. Okay? You got 45 seconds each move. So, for example, I'm back here. This is hot. This is a hot position. I need to spend some time on this. All right, well done. And that was Jimmy Lays, who's going to make it to 1100 so he can memorize some lines. Next up, we have Pepla. All right, we're going to give him a follow. Joined pretty recently. Got a nice tactics rating. Clubs, no clubs. Games, no games. So somebody who just joined, they've done a little bit of tactics. And obviously, we're hoping when we see them next to have some games and a little bit more work done. All right, next up we have Kaboka. Kaboka squash. Kaboka squash is very delicious, underrated. A lot of people don't know about the famous Kaboka squash. So here, I would say of all the squashes, in the kingdom of squashes, the Kaboka reigns supreme. And you got to understand the skin of the Kaboka. Most people don't even think of eating the skin of a squash, but the skin of a Kaboka, delicious. All right, let's read what Kaboka writes here. It took a while for things to click, but feel like I've now started making more rapid improvements. Instead of blitzing out good-looking moves, playing slower and analyzing more has made me more comfortable coming up with plans and spotting tactics. Whereas before I felt like I'd soon reach a ceiling because of lack of natural talent, I'm now more motivated than ever to keep learning and progressing. All right, beautiful. Ash says, good morning, you following freestyle chess? No. But maybe if we're done here, we'll take a look at that business. So there's Kaboka, has graduated, second graduation here. Tactics rating supreme. It's way up there. So we expect to see Kaboka more. And we got clubs. Beautiful. A part of the heat map heroes. Nice. The heat map heroes, you know, this dude, see, he's going for it now in March. Going for heat map heroes. Last week I was sick and I did some studying, but I didn't hit I didn't do enough to get my green check mark. And did it hurt? It did hurt. I almost wanted to cheat. I wanted to cheat and go in there. I did not. Okay. So here we go. Let's take a look. I'm going to do Grand Trier because we know Grand Trier. So let's go in here with Grand Trier. Dojo Winter Tournament. Okay, beautiful. Let's see the time graph. All right. So, people moving a little too fast. Remember, you got 30 seconds increment. And, well, we'll see what happened on move 20. But it looked like both players kind of stopped thinking at move 20. We'll see. All right, game review. This is against a fellow dojo member. This is a little poor. Good move. And this looks weird. And now there's a question about what black should do. It looks like everything is good, honestly, for black. DC4 would be the easy way to get this better position. Maybe a little complicated, actually, with DC4. All right. Well, maybe C4, you know, you never know. Let's just say positionally it looks awful, but maybe it's some kind of weird prep. I don't know. So here we go. He stole a pawn. In general, I don't like it for white, but all right, he stole a pawn. And then he takes, and he says he doesn't like this because of knight C3, queen A5, and now knight B5. I don't know. A6 looks logical. B4. Queen D8. Good. And now white needs to have something. Let's see what they got. Snip. Knight D4. I think what white should have very much considered here would be bishop F4. At the bare minimum, that would retain the white initiative. So knight D4, E6, good move. And now you have bishop takes C3, boom. Bishop takes B4, excuse me. Now, rook C1. Okay, a crazy move which white should consider, I don't know if it works, is castles long. That's what he should consider. Mind blown. Mind blown. Rook C1, knight G6. Knight F6, very good. Basically, white, that's poor. So white needs to do something amazing pronto, or else it's all going to go bad. And here, like here, black's now got the initiative, and black has got 2 pawns. The main thing, white's main crime, moving too fast. All right, rook C8, reasonable move. And now he just blunders a piece. All right, so now it's over. Check to the miserable, king E7. I would have preferred, I think, bishop C6 or something. But you're doing fine here. Good move. Oh, then don't trade. Don't trade. All right, we're going to stop here because dude is down a piece. Now, interestingly, what was it? It was move 20, and I said something happened around move 20 where they stopped thinking. Now we know what it is, right? Now we know what it is. Okay, so this one people thought too, didn't think enough. Now, one of the things I want to say is this C4 move, I've never seen it before, but it's kind of interesting. What happened was white got a very interesting initiative here. And maybe this b4 move, like maybe that's something they've seen before. But this is the kind of position where you need to have a feel for how these bad boys go, because you have to maintain the initiative. And it's complicated. For example, bishop f4, you have to wonder, am I losing a piece? And maybe you are. Maybe you are, but I think we're just starting here. So like castles, bishop d7. It's hot. It's really hot. So knight, it's hot. It's very hot. Knight c7. I don't know. I'm just saying this is super hot. This is beyond hot. But this is the kind of thing he would like to be doing. And the kind of thing we should analyze. Knight d4, e6. Now there's nothing going on. And like I said, maybe castles would be a little bit more to the point. When you sack, you got to keep it going. You got to keep it going. You got to add more fire, add more fuel to the flame. Okay, good one, Kaboka. Now we have the famous Moodla. And Moodla, he's been around for a while, dude. And is a very busy mudder. You can see he's doing a lot of tactics, a lot of non-dojo tactics too. Congratulations, Moodla, and making it out of 1,000. I know that you've been doing this for a while. So yeah, he's got Dojo 1.0 over here. Those are the real troopers from back in the day. And I appreciate the struggle of getting out of 1,000. Absolutely. All right, so there's the USCF. Tactics rating low. Maybe just because they had a little bit of bad experience with our tactics test. We are in the process, we're about to start the process of redoing our tactics whole situation. All right, here we go. Clubs. No clubs, Moodla. You've been around for a while, boss. Give me some clubs. Activity. All right. I wish I were decent. I think I wish I were decent. Graduated last week. So let's go look at this one. Dojo Classical under 1900, round 4. All right. Let's first see the time graph. Uh-oh. Well, Moodla, this is what we're talking about, buddy. Yeah. So, you have epic amounts of time and you weren't able to use it. You know, I do this yelling every week, and in a lot of ways, it's the most important admonition that I do every week because we see this all the time. All right. On Black, from Black's perspective, he stopped thinking around move 22. We'll see what happens there. Okay. D4, very frisky. And now C4. People moving way too fast. Well, I say that he's moving way too fast, but he actually did. This was Black's real first think here with C4. I think there's interesting questions of could Black play bishop G4? I don't know. 95. So Black is thinking here. Bishop E6. Bishop E7. Queen E3, poor. So moving too fast. Here, Queen G3 is a real problem for Black to face. And then the only thing you got to see here is Bishop H6. So Queen E3, H6. Okay, now Bishop G5 has to come. Well, I didn't play it. He played G5. Okay. Bishop G5 looks too committal. Bishop G5 looked fine for Black. Okay, Bishop D2. Queen V6. Well, that's just hanging the business. So Rook A, B1, way too fast. Right? Way too fast. White is doing great after a move like Queen E3. Yes, they can come and take, but they will be penalized with you taking back. Queen b6. Notice you've got a real issue here, Moodla. And what the issue means is like he's hitting two things. So you got to think about what to do. You got to take a momentito for Dr. Sofrito. You know what we're saying? All right. So now we blew it. Good move. And now this is actually, let's just look for a second. So queen g4 looks like a mistake, which hangs the d pawn. Why not queen h4? And then you have knight d5. And look at this, Moodla. You took no time. Zero time. Zero time on this move, h3. Knight takes d5. Now it looks like we're, I don't know, close to loss, but castles wasn't a great move on his part. h5, I don't know. Too fast. Too fast. Okay, bishop c5. And you write, I think this trade helps me. Right, because it lets your rook in. Yeah, absolutely. So this is going to be an example where white has no threats here, right? White has no threats, and the easy thing to do would be to, put some business over here. All right, so he gives you a chance. Good. 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 Thank you very much. Now look, you're probably winning. Check. And now you played rook f6. Yeah, you just take on e6 and say thank you very much. All right, notice here you played rook takes f6 in 6 seconds. We definitely want to talk about ef. ef looks really hard to deal with, and if you had spent a little time here, I think you would have found it. Point being is if rook f7, we wander our king in and we just break the blockade easily, right? On rook e8, we go here. They can try this, but it's too short, too late. Once we win that pawn, crispy critters, right? And yeah, king d4, king c5, you're still winning this thing. And now you played king d6, a4, and then you blundered with rook e6, and 25 seconds. So if we go back, what is this? Why is the blunder? Because he's going to do his business there, and he's going to get a queen, going to get a pawn. Time graph. That's the story, bud. That's the story. So what we're seeing here is Moodla, like a lot of dojoers, has a very simple problem. It's that he's moving too fast. Yeah. So, Dan, have I ever tried wearing contacts? I did when I was a kid, and I didn't like it. Really, if I was a brave soul, I would do that laser surgery, but I'm just too terrified. I'm too scared, just too scared about that laser hitting my eye. All right, we got B-Dud. B-Dud is next. Moodla, come on, bud. Should we yell at Moodla? Let's go yell at him over here. Let's go yell at him. So we'll go to our general Discord here, and we'll say, Moodla, what's going on? We're going to say at Moodla. Then I think we have an icon in here for slow down. Where's my slow down icon? Slow down. Maybe we'll give him one of those creatures too, a little slow creature. I think it's what do they call those things? Anyways, we're giving him the slow down. We're giving him the slow down, the slow down shaming. Is that what it is? We're shaming him a little bit. Maybe a little of shame. A little shame, I feel, that's a good thing, you know. So guys got to get shamed sometime. Thibeladorf says, hi, I'm using the free version of Dojo. When we buy paid version, do we still have to buy the books to study? For the most part, yeah. We do have, hopefully soon we have a discount coming from Chessable for the Chessable courses. But God, that's another thing we haven't dealt with yet. Oh, my world's exploding for a second. Excuse me. All right, this is B-Dumb. Let's give him a follow. I think he just joined. Nope, he's been here for a while, but hasn't really been logging their business. So we don't know quite what to expect. So we got any clubs. He's in Down Under Dojo. We got 54 people, and we got a game, okay? It's a short game, though. Victory Vidvat. And no time given. And these are the kind of humble annotations that I like. Takes the center and opens line for the bishop and the queen. Great. Good. A little funky, but okay. E6, great. Beautiful. Oh, after this, I started to panic. Now, I want to admit, it's a little scary. You do bishop c2, and then you're worried about bishop g6, bishop d3, and it is frightening. Let's continue the line and see if we can survive. Now, let's just say, if we had seen this coming, knight d7 would be a better move, or h6. So, I kind of missed it too. I can imagine it happening to me. Bishop g6, bishop d3. Watch this madness, the way it could go down. Knight d7, bishop g6, knight e5, knight e6. Wait, okay, so if DE, queen d1, we're still lost, Kraai. We're still lost. DE, queen d1, here, and we lost our coconut. So I thought I was being fancy. I wasn't doing anything. Wait, though. We're not done yet. Look, we have queen d4. Now, we still might have significant trouble here. So imagine knight g6, hg, but here they have to find this move here, knight f7. Notice that it controls this square, so there's no check. And now if king f7, he whacks us with bishop g6. Nice, Don Mahogi. That's right, never. Those sirens were for Moodla. Okay, so this is a bummer that could happen to anybody. And we are definitely fully toast here. Well, at this level, we could continue. So what should we do here? I think you want to at least try castles. And you say, actually, you have it. Moves the rook out of danger. You are technically lost here, but white has some grief before, it's not, you have some practical chances, as we like to say. All right, so knight g4. It looks like they could take your rook. Castles, queen h7, mate. Hi, Chihuahua. So this would be definitely a game, B-Dumb. We would love to see the time graph on here, right? The time graph would be very important. I feel like if I was just playing blitz chess, I could play knight f6 in this position and not think about knight e5, totally possible. Okay. All right, boom. Next up, we have Sleepy Old Owl. Did I mark that thing as red? Hold on, let's just go over here. Boop. And we'll go games. Did I do this? Boop. Yeah, I marked it. Okay. Come on, Kraai. You're okay. I'm okay. Everybody's okay. Falgra's in the chat. The old dudes over here. Sleepy old owl. I have been studying a lot since the beginning of the year. My next goal is to play a lot more and to annotate those games. Playing requires a concentration that I can't maintain for long. I notice that after an hour and a half, I start to blunder. By playing more, I hope to train myself to maintain my concentration for longer. Great. Absolutely true, and sleepy old owl sounds like an old guy like me. It's just something about an old owl, And for us older dudes, I think we're at least aware of the problem. A lot of younger people aren't aware even of that there is a problem, and they will also get tired. But yeah, especially us, you make me play a game at night, for example, or something. Oh, I can't do it. Can't do it. All right, let's go see Sleepy Old Owls, see if we can see something in the time graph. Age 51. He is an old dude, see? All right. Beautiful heat map over here. Look at this thing. Now, he is doing a lot. He's gone a little bit non-dojo. Got a beautiful... Now, I think what happened is he hit the graduation, and then he went on tilt afterwards, and then he lost some points. But, okay. We're going to keep him in the 1100 right now. His tactics rating is amazing. Okay. Obviously, we got the 50 plus and the Belgian. Okay, we got the Belgian. Okay. Games. Actually, I want to see what he's doing. He's doing all kinds of stuff. And let's just see. He's got a lot of tactics. Mating patterns. GM Wolf tactics. I was hanging out with that guy a little bit last year. Okay, great. Games. And this was played fairly recently. Let's take a look. Time graph. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Look at that one. Look at that one. Yeah, his opponent wasn't thinking at all. Yeah. So, one of the problems, by the way, I say this all the time, one of the problems about playing one of these online freaks who knows why they sign up to play a 45-minute game when they're treating it like a bullet game. But one of the challenges of it is it's hard for us to take time when our opponent's just instantly blitzing, right? It's just harder in there. All right, time graph to the moon. That's right, time graph to the moon. Okay, so here we go. Game review. Good. Okay. I'll take the center, why not, he says. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And now I didn't really know what to do, so I developed the bishop. That's exactly the kind of tone that I want to hear. You didn't know what to do, so you developed the bishop. Great. Castle's knight b5. Now, maybe it's not a developing move, though, right? I was going to say you should just follow your old advice and be like, well, I don't know what to do, so I'll develop the queen. And then maybe I'll put a rook on d1. I was just following your line of thinking. So bishop d6 comes. I don't know if there's anything wrong with knight a6, developing the knight. Knight takes, pawn takes. We change the structure. Queen d3, fine. d5, okay, frisky. And now you play b3. Okay. I don't like to acknowledge d5 as a reasonable move. I don't want to do it. But it is true that, like, it's setting up stuff on this diagonal. All right, b3, interesting move, and you thought for a minute. And now knight e5, not developing. What do we want? We want you to put your rooks here. All right. And DC-BC loses a pawn. Black is better. They don't see it. Let's ask a question. Why doesn't black see the pawn hanging on d4? Because he's not thinking. Here's an interesting choice, bishop e5 or de. They both look interesting to me. I personally think I like bishop e5 better to keep the scope of my bishop. Okay. de. Okay. Queen c2. And now dc4 doesn't look correct to me. Okay. DC. Actually, DC might have a tactical point that I wasn't even ready for. Yeah. So one of the problems here with rook fd1, which is your move, is he gets to throw in that bad boy. You know, intermezzo, swish and souk, and we got some troubles. So wait a second. F3, knight c5. I think we needed to play queen d4. And that queen c2, we are actually lost after dc. Holy moly. Holy moly. Yeah. So this one, he finds these moves, and now we're toast. Okay, a3. I don't know what to do. You know, we lost our coconut, unfortunately. So now we're lost. Let's see if he gives you a chance. Well, we lost another coconut. Yeah. Now he's just going to kill us. Yep. We could have resigned here, but he's moving so fast, who knows? All right. Okay, so the bummer there is we lost to somebody who wasn't thinking. Ooh, it hurts. And they found a nice tactic in the end there. Yeah. I want to really stress, I thought this was a great thing to do. I would just in general, if you're in this opening phase, you don't know what to do, develop, right? And here again, knight b5, probably not it. Queen c2, you know, develop. Just like you said, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to develop. And finally, you know, I guess if you were like, let's say over 1600, I would criticize this move. I'm just not clear that it belongs there, but it is developing. But notice that what happens here is after d5, there is these problemitos and casitos over here. And this was probably fine. And you just needed to play now with the rooks. Develop. Now, he missed it. And here we needed to play bishop e5. But this was that was dirty right there, DC. That was dirty. Okay. Well done. Sleepy Owl, welcome to the 50 plus club. All right, grad show. Gym office bed. I like that. Gym office bed. Right back here. So, working with the dojo has been great so far. Returning from a chess hiatus and using this as a supplement to some in-person coaching has greatly improved my middle game and sense of the board. My coach is very tactics and repetition oriented, playing a large quantity of rapid and doing hundreds of puzzles. So the dojo approach of studying the game and slowing down for the purpose of understanding has been a great parallel. Okay, gym office bed. Look at that, it's G-O-B. Gym office bed. Rinse and repeat. Okay. So, adult improver, NYC area. I feel like I'm chess gym, what am I? Chess gym kids, something like that. Chess gym kids. So, lots of green there. 1101, congratulations. Extreme long-term life goal, national master. Tone it down. Tone it down. let's get to 1200 first. It'll be hard enough. All right. So USCF 989 tactics. Okay. So now his coach has got him doing some weird other tactics things. He was here since 23, but it looks like really has taken it seriously in the last month here. Clubs, New York City area, makes sense. Games, gym off his bed against opponent. Let's go that one. Maybe that's an OTB game. Let's see here. OTB under 2,000. No time graph. That usually means that it was a OTB. Remember, you can write down the times in OTB and it will help you slow down, help you understand your own use of time. All right, so far so good. Queen D2 is very natural, but it's a little unclear that I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. You're developing. I'm not going to say anything. Rook E8, D5, and now C5 I think is poor, and he should play knight C5 instead. But C5, and now here you make a very important mistake, okay? And this is the kind of mistake that if you can understand why this next move is a substantial mistake, well, it'll be meaningful for your chess development. You play bishop h6. Okay, so let's talk about it for a second. We have a King's Indian structure, and you have more space, of course. And generally, black in these positions will try to move the knight and play for f5. But you can see his rook's a little unhappy there. Some GMs in this kind of position will even play rook f8, knight e8, so they can, go back and get ready for f5. So, why is bishop h6 a terrible move? Because this is your best piece. This is your best piece, and this is probably his worst piece. Right? It's not doing anything. Now, one great rule of thumb that Kostya Kavutskiy, founding sensei here at the dojo, formulated is the only reason to go play bishop h6 is if you think you're going to mate him. Here we're not going to mate him, though. Black's doing fine. Right? So bishop h6 isn't it. What should you do? That's not maybe a more interesting question. I think you should play knight e1 to d3 and then follow it up with a3, b4. Try to get some juice on the queen side. Most importantly, though, I don't want to allow, when I play knight e1, I'm trying to dissuade knight g4 because I don't want my bishop messed with at all. That's my prized possession. Right? The other thing to just see about bishop h6 is you lose a tempo when you do it. All right, rook f8. Rook f8 is technically a mistake, because white can say, oh, I made a mistake. I'm going to go back now. I'm not going to give you my bishop. No way. Okay. Bishop g7. Rook b1. Okay, good. In principle, good. The problem is that now he could take and plant his knight on c5. Okay. Poor. Here, I second guess my strategy of opening up the queen side. I think I let the rating disparity get to me, right? He's playing a 1600. By the way, your opponent, I feel, I mentioned the GM plan before I saw what he did, but he played this rook f8, knight e8. He knows what he's doing. He's played this kind of things before. Now, one thing to see is without your dark square bishop, it's actually pretty hard to make any progress there. I still think you should play knight e1 to d3. This will fight for this square a little bit, and maybe someday we'll play f4. All right, b5. Not only locking things up, but a loss of tempo. h6. Maybe unnecessary, but he wants to take away g5 before f5. g4. Now, honestly, maybe not the dumbest thing from a practical perspective, because what's going to happen to you is if you do nothing, then this whole extravaganza is going down. You're going to get rolled. So g4 should be seen as a preventative measure to prevent you from getting absolutely rolled. Now, I don't like his move, though. Terrible move, G5. So your G4 worked. Your thing worked. I'm pretty sure that, well, he's got a lot of different things he could try. Maybe the simplest would be knight f6, force you to play h3, knight h7, and now next move f5 with a huge attack on your king. Great move, dude. What? Oh, let me just say, it's technically a mistake, but it's well-intentioned. Okay? It's well-intentioned. Because if you could get the knight here, you'd be doing great. So, knight d1, what I want to say is, it's a GM level intention. If you could like say to yourself, oh, I want to get to this f5 square. Great. And right, yeah, you have to shore it up first, probably h3, queen d3, as you said. And now we're toast. Yeah, now it's all falling apart, unfortunately. F5, maybe. Knight ef6 would be the easier way of doing things. I think he's pushing his luck a little bit here. Good. And now you took on f5. Okay, but I have a question. What would happen here? Maybe, see, the knight's got some issues, man. I think, I don't know, maybe here? Now, the point here would be that if you take here, you'll trade and then take on f3. So, like, here, and then here, and then maybe he's going to live through this. But I don't know. It's not over yet. You see, it's hard for him to get rid of his knight, deal with his knight. So, he got too frisky. Knight f5 doesn't look right. At least it makes life easy for him. Knight g3. That's a fancy move, huh? Dang. Whew. Nice move. So your opponent played some good moves in there. As we saw, higher rated, but really, you could have, he made some mistakes. So a lot of positional things to understand. Your opponent made some mistakes too. So bishop h6, poor move. And then g4, I think, was an interesting practical attempt. g5, terrible move. And then knight d1, we're going to call a tactical mistake. But then also this, I thought maybe there is some way for black to get away with this f5 move, but it's he's pushing his luck with knight e3 there. And maybe on knight e3 he could at least play fg to get out of dodge, But yeah, this made it more complicated than it needed to be. Okay, good game, good annotation. Really cool that you play some OTB games, you're going to play out some higher rated opponents. And you can see here the kind of mistakes that they make, right? The kind of mistakes they make. All right, boom, Jim off his bed. Great. Applause. And Applause says, this is my first graduation here. I have postponed hitting graduate for a few months to finish studying more material, but I think now it is time. Joined Dojo in December 24 after my failure in an over-the-board tournament, 0 points from 5. Like the structure of the material and training plans, although I know most of the material from my current cohort, except Mate and 2, some of which was hard, reviewing it was fun and instructional for me. Yeah, probably I have to put more effort when learning endgames and analyzing games. Analyzing is not easy for me. For me, in chess, the road is more important than the goal itself. There's so much to improve. Very true. Okay. Jacob Wilbers, thank you for being here. So, applause. Bang. Playing from Poland. Someday I'm going to send those kids out of the house and go to Poland, dude. That's where I'm going to go. All right, now look at this. He's way above. He's ready to go for the 1300 over here. Okay, so now applause. I'm going to make us a request to you, my friend. This is a request to you. Can you create a Polish club? Or if you're like in Warsaw or whatever, make a Warsaw club, dude. I don't know if we have anybody from Poland, but I'd love to have like a Polish club. Yep. And then I'm gonna go myself someday, man. I want to go play in some tournaments in Poland. All right, here we go. Games. So here we go. This is a 30-30 played fairly recently. And actually, let's go look at this activity just for a second. He's doing great. All right, games. Dandy Knacks. Let's look at that time graph. All right, so we're hoping that around move 25, things were simply winning for Mr. Applause. Before that 25, we're going to say the time graph looks pretty good. So, all right, game review. So, fine, poor. I know it is playable. No, it's not playable. So, snip, snop, check. Queen e2. I think knight f3 is just a clear advantage for white. So queen e2, I'm not sure I understand. You played it pretty fast. Well, 2 minutes. A little odd as well. Maybe knight f6 or bishop e7. Okay. So, knight e5, queen b6. Yeah, and you talk about castles on move 10 being stronger. Now we have an interesting momentito where I like a lot what you did. You castled short and you said, you know what, buddy? If you want to take my pawn, you can. And we definitely should have a variation here. My sense is that, I don't know what your intention was, but knight a4 followed like maybe by queen b4, knight c5 would be interesting. That way, we'll eventually get this tempo back. And, you know, regardless of where the guy goes, I'm going to get the juice on the b file. So knight f6, knight a4. In principle, I'm in favor of this. Queen b8. And now you played bishop f4. You talk about queen b5. Right, and I used to do a variation because this is one of the things I don't quite understand about knight a4. Because now we can't really do b3, right, because of snippos. So that confuses me a little bit. Maybe knight c5 is your intention. For example, if this is a problem for us, I think a move that's really spicy and interesting would be f4, intending f5. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I like that one. So, knight a4, queen b8, bishop f4. Good move. Now, he could still go back queen b5. He goes there. Now, knight c5 comes. We should stress the obvious that knight c6 would win a clean pawn. Okay. Queen b5 looks better still. Castles. Queen f3. With the plan of queen g3 and lurk into g7, I like b3 makes the most sense to me, where you just have a nice position. Okay. This move does not pin anything. I played it probably because of lack of satisfying alternatives, but the pawn is hanging, so probably best would be to protect it. I think maybe your problem too is you were looking for queen g3, or that was your intention when you played queen f3, but then you saw that knight h5 was a problemito in casito, right? So b3, queen b5. And part of the bummer is, you know, you've played really good up until this point, but all of a sudden it's not so easy. You could play pawn takes pawn, of course. Something like queen e3. We're not toast yet. So bishop g5. And now bishop e7. Oh, that's spicy. Knight d2, really? Okay, I don't understand. I don't get it. Okay, wait a second. Let me just think of a second. All right, so bishop e7. I mean, first of all, okay, bishop e7. Wow, this is actually pretty spicy, isn't it? Now, you talk about bishop e3, but if you can play rook e8, pawn takes pawn, then I don't know why you wouldn't do this. Because this isn't it. Because here you just play CB. Thank you very much. Knight f3. Now, you have calculated here knight f3 with b6. Yeah, you're crushing it, dude. Or just pawn takes pawn and then knight takes c. You're killing this guy. What are we doing here? Well, we're killing. We're killing. Oh, no. So we're at move 22, by the way. And here, let's go back to ye old time graph. I think it's obvious to say that both players stopped thinking at this point, right? Now it's time to calculate. CB looks like it's just winning. All right, let's go back. Game review. Now I don't know what's happening. Yeah, DC or something. I don't know. Why not? So people are flailing. Okay, now we have an endgame. All right, rook AB1 looks very natural to me. Rook A7, passive. Good move. D4, frisky. Rook C6, bishop A2. Rook C8. Looks like a good move. That's a good move. You should have props for that. Rook C8. Boom. Delicious. And now he's hosed and can resign. Oh, that was really... Uh-oh. Why are we... Okay, I thought he was on Z1, but he's not. Okay, so the most important thing, Applause, is you need to slow down when it gets hectic there. Okay, you are not alone as having this problem in the dojo, but that is the key problem that you now have to overcome. Okay, so let's go back and beautiful things. All right. So did I click on this, by the way? I always forget. Yeah, we're gonna mark this reviewed. Great. And now we have Oh, we still have loads to do. Vlad chess. Oh, that's great. We were just talking about Vlad chess. So I'm going to take a break. I deserve it, my friends. I deserve it. But I'm going to be right back. Let's continue. I think we're up to Grandpa here. And Grandpa says, what has been the most helpful for me was the structure of the program. Just having some direction in my studying helped me remain focused. Boom. All right, so here's Grandpa. We're going to give him a follow. Just joined fairly recently. And, dude, he's slaying. Grandpa, hey, buddy, you're in the wrong cohort, bud. You're in the wrong cohort, Grandpa. You're a little too high. Now, your tactics rating is low, so maybe this is just an aberration. I don't know. We got from Quebec, an ADHD. Okay. It's funny, if he's actually a grandpa, back in the day, we didn't have the word ADHD. At least I don't remember it. We had certainly kids who had ADHD. I probably had ADHD. But anyways, it's something that for the Gen X crew out there, we don't know. We didn't know. It's just a new thing. All right, here we go. Games. Oh, we got loads. Grandpa's doing loads. I love that he's following the program here. This is great. So 45-45, let's give this game a click, see what's going on with Grandpa. And Grandpa, the first thing we want to say is you are using your time, and that, my friend, is the way it's supposed to look. So congrats on that. By the way, we see this every grad show. As we go up the ladder, as people get stronger, we start to see time graphs that look more like that. Not always, but just on a more consistent basis. Let's call it statistically. All right, game review. Here we go. Good move so far. Okay. Fine. Now, you talk about it. I should have gone for bishop g5 in my repertoire. e3 is fine. 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 So this is a very classical position. And you're doing fine. Bishop g5. Great. Bishop e7. Okay. Now, this position is, we're going to call it a classic position. And what I mean by that is this can arise from a variety of different move orders. And there's a lot of spiciness that can happen. I'm going to show you an idea here, and you're going to be like, what, Kraai? I thought you told me to develop all the time. Anyways, I think, by the way, we will have transposed from other openings here. So like I said, if you look this up on in the Dojo database, you'd find loads of transpositions coming to this position. I like the move a3. You're going to be like, Kraai, I thought you told us to develop. A3 does a couple things. It keeps the knight out of b4 and also allows us to do this really powerful attacking maneuver of queen d3, rook d1, bishop a2, and bishop b1. And then, we're just lining it up for the full power. All right, queen d2. Knight d5. Notice he's not solving the problem of the bishop on c8. Bishop e7. I agree with you. Bishop d5 is better. All right, so now he's blockaded the pawn, but he has to figure out the bishop now. Ooh, I don't like that. We do not want to trade when we're down in time. Excuse me, when we have that isolated pawn. b6, good move. Now you talk about bishop d5, but I don't think queen d5, rook c7 is better for you. Because let's say he just plays bishop b7. It's very difficult for you to do anything. He's gonna kick you out. He's gonna kick you out. So rook fd1, but it's better than what happened because he's got the typical advantageous position of when you're playing against an isolated queen pawn. Ooh, that's bad. Bishop d5. Like we said, even queen d5 is better for him, but no need to let you in. Good move. Now, okay. Here he takes f3. I don't like it. Now, is it true, though, that bishop a2, good move. For a second there, I thought he was trapped, but he can get out. So I bet he missed that. This is terrible on principle because that bishop was just so strong on g5, on d5. Okay, queen d5, rook d8. He is crushing you. That's hard to argue. Now queen f4. He's got e5 exclam. Now does he find e5? Yeah, better was e5. Correct. Now let's just say when people worry about having an isolated queen pawn, this is the terror position that they're worried about. In general, the isolated queen pawn, you'll have activity and you can fend for yourself, but when you're lined up like this with the heavies, this is the nightmare situation. And your opponent doesn't understand it because in general, this pin either to a piece or to the back rank here is what kills, and you can see here e5 just is absolutely crushing. Okay, now you're still in trouble. Let's see what you do. Rook d3, e5 now. Now look, I think you can try to make things difficult for him with a move like queen g4. That way, if he takes, you take here, okay? And queen g4 will have ideas maybe of rook g3. Now we're down a pawn. Okay. Queen b8 check. Thank you very much. Thank you for the pawn. Check to the miserable king. Someone's blowing it. King h5. Look at this. What has he done? What has he done? Queen e2. However, I decided to play for the win and literally blew it. Oh, no. So, he gave you way too much. And the question is, what should you have done here? It seems like there should be a win here, right? It's very surprising that there's not a win. Very surprising indeed, really. Huh. And then you got to go back to e1? Oh, no. Then we got. Darn it. Darn it. Okay, so GP Downing, thank you for following. You can see here, my friends, lessons in the IQP, and then, you know, in those tense moments at the end, where you have to live on the increment. Here, there was a 45-second increment, so it's definitely possible to do. I have a terrible record myself when it gets that low. This, I'm not a grandpa yet, but this grandpa, he didn't grow up with those kinds of time controls that we have now. Next up, we have Eden. And Eden, I feel like I see every week here. Eden says, graduating again, although I'm really only back at the level I started at when I first joined the dojo. Just took a while for my Elite Chess Classical when I switched to match my ChessCom rating. I guess now that it has gotten to the same level, I'm probably at my true plateau. Breaking through higher than this will mean I'm playing better chess than I've likely ever played before, so that's the goal. Dropping down a few levels was great, though, because the material has all been really helpful, and I plan on finishing a number of items in the 11 to 1300 ranges. Mr. Kraai, if you're swamped with reviews this week, feel free to skip me because you reviewed me 1 week ago already, and I only played 1 game in this cohort. Okay. So we're going to come back and we'll see Mr. Eden McGorlick again, hopefully. And I can imagine, yeah, and for everybody, there comes a time when to break through to the next level, it's a really rough road. And that's where it truly gets, for me as a chess fan, it's inspiring and interesting. All right, so next up is GDS Chess. GDS is there, $12.99. It's done a bunch of tactics. A little bit sporadic over here, so we're not sure what we're going to see here. Clubs, UK Dojo, games. Well, he's got a game, but this is they're ancient. They're ancient. I feel like I remember the name Dinwiddie Chess, so I think he's been around for a while. But so Dinwiddie, I think what's going on here is you haven't done any games in a recent time. You've been doing a lot of tactics, and it's obvious what we want, what you want too, I assume, is to get on this on a more regular basis and to play and analyze some games. All right, next up we have B. Burks. All right. Hi, Jesse. I just graduated last week into 12 to 13, and the game that put me into the 13-14 was a short game that wasn't worth annotating. As such, you have already reviewed my most recent game. I think my most recent decent game that you haven't reviewed is probably the one against Blaufrog. Of note, late in the game, I visualized a series of moves that worked if a piece were on a certain square, and then after visualizing, convince myself that the piece was already on that square. It didn't cost me the game or anything, but you have any tips for avoiding those kinds of mental errors? I would love to hear them. Okay, well, first of all, congratulations for these very quick graduations that you've been doing. So you can see, my friends, that B. Burks, he's doing it. Look at that heat map, buddy. Look at that heat map. He has been slaying, and, four graduations, 1305, really crushing it. Tactics is lagging behind. I'm not sure why. Probably because he hasn't done those. That might be tactics from a while back. All right, clubs. Indiana, Chicago. There's a little sliver of Indiana and Chicago, Illinois, where they kiss. That's probably where he's at. So, games, North Bend. Okay, here we go. Blauffrog. Let's go look at Blauffrog. So this was last month. Let's go give it a look. So, time usage, we're going to say appropriate. 30 plus 30, not bad. Okay. Now we'll go game review. All right, knight c3. Boom. A6. I just play e6 here. A6 is possible. E3. E6. C5. Fine. Little poor. Develops your piece for free. You should say thank you. Knight c6. Good move. Now castles. Rook e1. Dude is playing very fast. And for my money, as they say, I would prefer white to play e4. Just so that you would have to at least worry about the threat of e5. Good. Now it's going to get spicy. He plays h3. I think e4 is still the move. And you talk about it some there. Good move. That looks like a good move to me. Now, this part of it freaks me out a little bit. Just play GF. You're up a piece. You're up a piece. He can't mess with you. All right, so that freaks me out. Knight d5. I guess you're still winning no matter what. And you say thank you very much. Okay, great. This, I'm just seeing if, okay, good. So, pawn takes, fine. Also, your bishop on c5 is insecure, so bishop d6 makes sense. Fine. Okay, and now this happens. Great. Here I would prefer bishop e6 just because it wins a clean tempo. Good move. Rook ac1 was poor. c4. Now you play rook ab8. I don't know why we wouldn't just take it and then win more time with rook ab8. But it's true, you're killing him here. So now we take. And h6. Yeah, h6 is fine. Okay, now he's getting frisky. Now, by the way, you're up a piece. I'll say it out. You're up a piece, by the way. So you're totally crushing this fool. This is maybe it's unnecessary, though. For example, let's say we go pop, bishop f5. He's in some good trouble. He's in some good trouble here. Now your move should work. It's just I'm worried that the knight is somehow going to get caught. I guess it's not going to get caught. You're fine. Queen a2, fine. Thank you. And then you write, this was a really dumb move, and it comes from a thinking error that I have a lot in my games. I started by thinking about rook c8 to win the pawn. If it goes to c6, then I thought that's only 2 attackers, then I need another one. So this is the mental mistake he was talking about. And the good news is he's still totally winning here. He's up a piece. He's up a piece. Right. So he wants me to tell him what the way to stop oneself from making this kind of mental mistake is. And honestly, to me, it's mostly practice. It's mostly practice. Now, one thing I want you to also see about c6, though, you could justify, I think, this bishop move by playing rook here. And it's very difficult for him to deal with that. It's a nasty little pin. So your bishop d7 move, I think you can justify it by this rook ec8. I don't know how he saves himself, honestly. You know, a little hard. A little hard. Okay, knight c2, definitely a blunder. Knight d3, looks great, good move. Thank you very much. Now he should resign. He refuses. Good move. And then welcome to the dojo. Great. So B. Burks, you're playing good chess, dude. Let me just go back for just a second. I thought you played good chess. And your opponents, you know, they're kind of doing some superficial stuff, right? Like h3. Well, it's terrible. It's not just losing the piece. It's also like, why are you allowing e5? Why did you play rook e1 if it wasn't to play e4? Those kinds of questions, right? Okay, so well done. Don't worry about your visualization thing too much. That's just the kind of mistake that all of us get nailed with. Keep playing, and you know your opponents will eventually stop making this kind. Their strategic play will improve. Okay, good job. And now we have Rücksichtlos. Me and David like this name a lot. In German, it's just a play on rook. Rücksichtlos means playing without regard. So here we go. Grad show. Rücksichtlos. He's graduated already numerous times. 1655, he's clearly on a path. Now, we haven't seen much, though, in terms of him logging stuff recently, so hard to say if we're going to see any new games or anything. And I'm going to guess we already did that game. Yeah, we did that game. So, Rücksichtlos. Mensch, come on, put some stuff on here, buddy. Put some stuff. Give us some game analysis, bud. Come on now. All right, here we go. Next up, we have Ohm. I haven't seen Ohm in a while. Been very sick the past week, however, planning to get back strong. Dojo set routine and the new feature to schedule time has been really helpful, and I plan to make the most of it. Looking forward to the woodpecker method. He's up there, 1700, 1800. If convenient, please review my game against Jeffrey Pennington. Jeffrey Pennington. Now, there's a name, huh? Jeffrey Pennington. So I remember Ohm's been around a long time, and I want to say it is very inspirational what he's done. And you can see he's taken it up a notch here in the last couple of months. Discipline beats obsession. Obsession beats talent. Great. I like that. It's a nice quote. And so... couple things. Tactics rating, very commensurate with his actual rating. He's got an ECF, and he's doing well. Look at that. Flying up there. As we talk about in a lot of these grad shows, the higher we go up in the cohorts, the more we're going to start to see people playing with over-the-board ratings. Jeffrey Pennington. Yeah, Jeffrey Pennington. That guy, you know, he is from the Civil War. Okay. Clubs. Probably England. UK Dojo. Okay, great. So, we want to find Jeffrey Pennington. There he is. From the Civil War. So, Blackpool and Field League Division A. And here we go, time graph. Again, you guys, I want you to see that when you play over the board, you can write down the times. And that's what Ohm did here. And that little bump you see at the end is a lot of times in over the board, you get a little bit extra time. Here they got 15 minutes after move 36. All right. So, game review. I was so excited before he played this move. Okay. It's fine. I mean, that's just a soft move, but you know, game's not over. Good. E5. Principal has to be okay. That's a little weird, I think, 92. Good. Good. And now isn't D5 a good move? D5 looks like a very strong move to me. I don't know. D6 probably is fine. A4. Okay. And now F5. You played B6. I think F5 looks like a very powerful move here. B6 is definitely, I don't like it. And yeah. And you talk about H6 followed by Bishop E6. But F5, you're just developing your rook. He has to start wondering about F4. You're doing great. And B6, I'm trying to get inside your head. Maybe you're intending to play like A6, Rook B8, B5. I don't know. So B6 is a weird move. 91, good move. Knight E3, poor. Why not just play F4? C3, poor. Just play F4, buddy. Bishop H3. Now, you talk about D5, and let's talk about Bishop H3. We had this in the lower cohort earlier. Unless you're going to mate him, you don't want to play Bishop H3. It costs you a tempo, and your bishop on E6 is much stronger than their bishop on G2. So D5 for sure. All right. All right, here it comes, F4. Snip, snop, snip, snop, F5. With, I think, a very unclear position. Knight H4. Maybe. Maybe. I feel like White needs to figure out their coconuts. They might want to figure out their coconuts before they go on Knight H4 journeys. All right, Bishop F6. This is spicy. Okay, here we go. Bishop F6. I think they should play Knight F3. He goes Queen E1. D5. I'm just looking at what you did. So you're saying that this is a good deal for you. You take. All right, we're going to give what you did a chance, but I just want to say taking the knight on H4, it's kind of a chump knight. But all right, we're going to give this a chance here. So C4, and you were worried about knight C4 here. But okay, takes, queen takes. Rook A3. Okay, let's go back a second. This was hard for me to follow here. Okay, so F5, Bishop F6. This Knight H4 is just totally... Look, he's not fixing his stuff. He's not fixing his stuff. Queen B3, Bishop D2, you got to fix your stuff. This rook here probably wants to land here, right? So like Queen B3, check, Bishop D2, bring the rook over. What people at this level... right? We're already pretty strong, but they're not sensitive to piece placement. So poor, and now definitely knight f3 or something. Queen e1, d5, good. Now I'm still working this out for myself. I think d5 is a good move here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, well done. I think that was a very nice transition. So with d5. This is passive, rook a3. I don't know what he should do, but that isn't it. Good move. Is that it? Wait, why are we taking on e3? Okay, wait a sec. Time out. So knight d5 is certainly a intuitive move. But can we end this guy's life? We should be able to end his life because his coconuts are all over the place. Okay, first question. Could we play knight e5, queen e7, knight g4? And the intention is rook a e8 next move. And it's not just that we've won a pawn, we're claiming, hey, buddy, your rook's out of play and we're going to bust through there on the e file, right? So that looks like at least something we should look at. Why would we ever take on e3? Oh no. Oh no. What do we do when we're freeing this chump from his problems? Now, I don't know. Bishop e3, I would say, of course. Rook a d8. Okay. King f2. It's getting weird. We are definitely looking now to find a way to not trade those queens. King f7. All right, he takes finally. King e2. Good. Rook f3. It's hot. King g8. Oh, man. And now he plays rook g3. Yeah, pointless. Good move. Tunnel visioning knight d4. Knight a5 wins on the spot. Good. There we go. I think it's game over. And that e6 was just like, what are you doing, buddy? Game over. Okay, Jeffrey Pennington. By the way, I think one of the cool things about this victory is you're going to face a lot of players like this, where Jeffrey probably has some good tactical skill. And the mistakes he's going to be making are more of a positional nature where he's not going to be fixing his coconuts, right? And we saw that a number of points in this game where he didn't fix his coconuts. And so you're going to play this kind of guy a bit, and that's really your way to the next level, in my opinion, right? Okay. Isn't the bishop on c1 bad? Yes, it is. That's why I didn't like taking on e3. Okay, so well done, Ohm. And now we have Luke. And Luke, dude, look at that. Muchos graduaciones. And he says, well, I can so much. First of all, I am so proud of myself of making this promotion after a lot of consistent work, especially since the start of 2025. It's been a lot of sweat work, and I had to push myself quite hard. I think Dojo 3.0 is amazing, and I like the site a lot, especially the heat map. Love to see the colors. I also like the podcast. Nice. I think that there are a lot of more positive things to come to the site. I also started doing league games, which are 90-30, with a 30-minute bonus on move 40. Beautiful. These games have been super nice and often lasted over 4 hours. And Jesse, if you are reading this during the grad show, can I ask you if you want to look at my league game against Nick Schuten? I will. Since 25, I want to work on a topic for a few weeks and then shift, and thus far it's gone quite well. Did a few weeks of the woodpecker, but it was hard. Stopped during the second cycle because I had already done it a lot and I was done with it. Currently, I am redoing Capablanca's best endings, also looking at coaching a bit. That could be fun too. Hope to see you in the next graduation. Great. So if my memory serves me, Luke is a teenager in Holland, I think. Maybe he's going to tell us on his profile here. So here we go. 14 years old. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, one of the cool things, Luke, that you mentioned is you mentioned coaching. And I think it would potentially be an amazing thing for you. I feel like I was coaching when I was like 14 years old. And you could be doing that, obviously, in real life or over ye old internet. And it would be a great way for you to make a little extra cash, as well as honing your own ideas. When you have to explain things to other people, it's just a beautiful thing to help you focus. And, here you definitely use the dojo if you wanted to advertise your services for doing some lessons. We are actually in the works of trying to make it a little easier for coaches to use the platform. For me, the most important thing for a coach is to have a slightly higher rating, like you do, Luke, and to see this kind of heat map that you have. Like, I see that, I'm like, it shows that you are committed to your own improvement, and it shows that you are familiar with what the dojo's about. So that's the coach that I want working for the dojo. Okay, so Anundas Singh says, after taking on e3, isn't it good knight versus bad bishop? Kind of, it is, and it was a nice position, just the other one was totally winning. Okay, so here we go. This is the Dutch rating, 2002. Luke is ready up there, 2000. Look at that, buddy, 2000, amazing. 21, so tactics is very strong, very strong. And, well, he's going to be ready to graduate again, honestly. Look at that. So clubs. If you belong to some city in Holland, buddy, put that on there. Give us one over there. Games. We're going to be looking for a dude named Shootin'. There he is. Boom. One of the things I just want to stress is the Europeans have the advantage that they got these beautiful league games going on. And for, let's call them as normal people, not like Kostya, you can just, go off to Reykjavik and then Grenka and all this other stuff. It's a beautiful way to get like 1 or 2 games in on the weekend and get a quality games, and then have people that, on your team, and, you go over the games with those people, as an example. Okay, so here we go. Do we have times? We do. Look at this bad boy. You can see from this was a real struggle. They got 30 minutes extra all the time with 30-second increments. So this is a long game. This is what it looks like. This is what a GM level graph looks like, honestly. Right? This is what a GM level graph looks like. So Luke, your time usage is looking strong. All right, here we go. So far, so good. Good. I would say knight g3 is poor. And now h5 is a pretty spicy move, dude. So let's just read what you write with bishop c4. Bishop c4 is, of course, a very natural move. At this point, I was out of book. This variation of the opening is already not that common with knight g3. And after this move, I don't know the theory anymore. And he doesn't either, because he spent 5 minutes here. I'm not sure a dubious mark is really relevant, but I don't like this whole variation for him because he lets me make a weakness in his camp early on by pushing the h-pawn. So I think what's going on with Luke, by the way, is knight g3 is just a poor move anyway because it gives away a tempo. Okay, and the knight on g3 really is not a great piece. It's not looking at anything. But my guess is Luke had seen this h5 move in some kind of theoretical preparation, okay? And definitely white is not responding to it because h4 is not just a beautiful pawn all of a sudden, but that knight, where is it going? Nobody knows. Bishop f5 has to be fine. You talked about h3 as well. I love your position either way. Okay, good. H3, beautiful. He's doing great. GH, I don't know about that, buddy. Okay, so you're doing great. E6 has to be good. H4, that is, don't worry about that. He's not developing. B5, now that's kind of frisky. I took quite long for this aggressive move. This is not what I wanted to play at first, and I thought that I would have better moves, especially on the king side. But it was actually quite a struggle in the position that I thought would be pretty good for black. I was still quite happy with this move, as it puts direct pressure and keeps the momentum. The main idea is to play c5 next. So he quickly plays bishop b3. But yeah, bishop d3, I don't know what we're achieving here with b5. This is what I don't understand. I don't understand b5. And you talk about bishop g4. But, you know, you could have done bishop g4 last move, too. Why did b5 help us? I'll tell you what the chump wants to do. The chump just wants you to play knight d7. The chump just, I don't know, bring your pieces out. You're killing him. He can't castle short anymore. And all we have to do is develop. That's it. He's got no sows here. Okay, what does this little thing mean here? Include diagram of position in PDF. Well, now see, Luke, this is why you kids win, because you know how to put the diagram of the position in the PDF. That's pretty good. I didn't know about that. Is that something you could do? I didn't know about that. Matt Chess says, I played him and he was very helpful, strong during the postmortem. Now, I have to admit, that was in the YouTube chat, and I don't know when Matt Chess said that. Matt Chess is a hero of the dojo. Matt Chess, we have these people. We have our video edited and stuff, and they haven't put it out yet, dude. Hold on. Let me go see if they've put it out. It's just taken forever. Dude, forever. Brother. Hold on. I'm just seeing if Matt Chess and I's video's out here. No. God, we can't get it going. We just cannot get it going. Okay, so b5, weird. Bishop b3, weird. Of course, he needs to challenge your bishop. That thing's a beast. And now c5. All right, here we go. dc5, at least he gets the queens off the board then. Oh, I don't know. I don't like that. Why are we helping the bishop go back? Why are we developing this dude? I guess that's your answer to me. But I'm just worried he's going to live through this. Knight c6, bishop g5. Yeah, that's one of my concern. Knight e4. Do you have a threat? I'm not sure. Bishop e3. I don't know why he was taking so long in this move, and unfortunately I couldn't ask him in the postmortem. To me, this move seems fine, but maybe he had some better moves. Well, can we castle? Why can't we castle? Now, it's frightening to castle, but isn't it kind of what he wants to do? You've got your own problems here. Okay, so bishop e3, b4, here it comes. Knight e2. And here, well, it's interesting. You're talking about knight c3. The knight c3 is the first thing that comes to mind. Yeah. So bc3, knight f4, cb2. I was thinking about this move a pretty long time, 5 minutes. There were a ton of lines in my head, and this is just a pretty messy position. Okay, here we go. Queen b2. Check to the miserable. King f1, correct. Knight d6. Again, I was thinking about a million moves, and I just wanted to keep it as simple as possible. Okay. So, one of the things, Luke, that I can tell you is your opponent made a mess of things, and then the art now is to put them away without it getting complicated. It is now obviously a little complicated. for me as well. I mean, oh my God, what a mess, right? My instinct here would be to play rook b8, queen c2, knight d6. It's still complicated, of course. Your king is also on the run. Okay, here we go. Knight d6, bishop d2, queen a6, bishop c3. Passive, notice. Complete passivity here by white. Terrible moves. So what should white be thinking? He should be thinking to himself, look, my bishop on e3 is a pretty reasonable piece. I need to fix my other coconuts. I need to fix my other coconuts, man. And he's got a lot of potential ideas. I think, for example, I don't know exactly what he should do, but he should be definitely at least consider rook d1 intending d5. Something active with the position. This does nothing. And he has to prove something. He has to prove something. This is making me real nervous, like at some point for him to play d5. So here too, d5. I don't know why we're allowing that. It's freaking me out. Passive. The dude is just a passive dude. Okay, good. Finally. Once we get that d5 square, I'm feeling a lot better about life. Ooh, that's a fancy move. Now he plays queen d2. Definitely he should at least try h5, yeah. Passive. Good. 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 Ooh, holy moly. Good move. And then he's just completely toast, right? So one of the things maybe, Luke, to see about this is this guy didn't appreciate that he had to be active. And you're going to get a lot of guys like that. You know, we talk about people in the lower cohorts like not moving, not taking their time, for example. Common problem. When they get a little stronger, we talk about them not fixing their pieces. And here, we're just seeing a complete lack of urgency from white. Good move. Boom, boom, boom. And this should be winning for sure. c3, knight d4. Should be winning. Good. Good. Winning. Okay. So, rook a6. Fine. Fine. Good. Good. Okay. So, the said maneuver. I'm still not sure if I am winning, but I have a stable position. I will try to win the a-pawn. I wouldn't even worry about the a-pawn. The a-pawn's not going to go anywhere. That thing's not going anywhere. So, yeah, you're killing him here. You say king h5 is the wrong plan, but what should he do? You know, you're going to eventually start doing things like, now you get to move the rook. There's over here, bishop f6. You're going to get the pawn. You will get the pawn. The bishops and the rooks are amazing. That isn't it. There you go. Good move. Good move. Good move. Good move. There we go. There we go. Yep. It's a hard life, Charlie Brown. Dang. Dang. Look at this. That's a nice move there. That's what we're talking about. Bang. He still won't resign. Good move. Okay, Luke, that was a great game, dude. That was a great game, and you're playing this chump. And again, you're going to get to a higher level, right? You're showing it, and the people who play passively, we want to crush them like this, right? And we don't want to play moves like b5 unnecessarily. I thought b5 was the only move. Well, there's a couple, but like b5, I was like, oh, you're losing control over the situazione, right? Luke, that's great, bud. That's great. All right, we'll mark this as reviewed. And now we got Vlad Chess. Vlad Chess might be turn into a coach as well here. And let's read what he says. Well, I joined the dojo somewhat reluctantly during a time when my chess activity was starting to dwindle. If you need someone to blame, that would be Mr. Nose. What have you done, Mr. Nose? I haven't been diligent about tracking my time. I work as a full-time coach and rarely have the mental bandwidth to pay attention to these administrative tasks, but suffice to say that I found the conversations within the servers most engaging, and the focus of the program is correctly geared toward using the engine less and developing one's analytical ability. So really, bravo. Also, on tinkering with the program once every year and being willing to change paradigms. Well, thank you very much, Vlad. Let's go check out what's going on with Vlad entering the 2000 to 2100 cohort. He's got his links. That's, yeah, we can go, you can click there and see his links. Now, one of the things that I want to say is it's fine for anybody to be a coach here, but we want to promote people that are coaches, and in particular, people who are using ye old heat map, like Luke, like Luke. Okay. So, he's done some tactics tests. Great. All right. So, Vlad, hopefully if you tell us where you are, European Dojo, tell us where you are. Tell us where you are. No games. One of the problems with higher rated players is it's hard for them to do the games. There's a psychological thing. So, Vlad, I know you're busy, but I think your students would appreciate you doing the work and putting in some games. Okay, so Mighty S is next. Boom. Mighty S, we're going to give him a follow. Crushing over here. Very difficult to make it over 2,000 FIDE. But I think maybe like Vlad, he's been here for a little bit. No clubs, no games. Mighty S. Like I've said, we have a little bit of the sensei have debated this a little bit, but basically we're seeing less work with annotations. I'm seeing less work with annotations in the higher rated groups, and in the book and in the stream here, I've always said that I think the reason is that when you're higher rated, if you haven't gotten into the practice, the habit of analyzing your games, it's much harder to do so. And in my view, the reason is because your identity is already so wound up in your own chess and the sacrifices you've made to get it to where you are, that it's difficult for you to look critically at the game. That was the case for me. I will say that. It wasn't just I always did game analysis, but I had to do it to become a GM. That was definitely part of the process.